Well, happy Sunday, everybody. This is Mike from the Last Corvette, and I'm doing this for the second time. Yes, a brake job. So this is a 2020 MKZ. I replaced all 4 rotors, all pads on this vehicle about probably beginning of summer. So this vehicle belongs to a family member, and she started complaining about vibration under load when she's braking. And I'm like, there's no way, there's something else going on, blah, 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 blah. So it progressively gotten worse. So finally, I have a little bit of time to investigate. Well, here are the rotors. I'm taking those in to get turned because there's a shortage. Nobody has fucking rotors. But anyway, long story short, the root cause, so when I got these rotors, and I had to get these rotors from like 2 different places, even spring, the brake pads, I could only find one brand and like the cheapest brake pad possible for that vehicle. I called dealerships, I called all these AutoZone, auto parts stores, O'Reilly's, and they all had the same shit, bottom of the barrel. Well, here's the deal. When the rear pads, I was able to get basically the highest level because, well, the rears usually last longer. But what happened with utilizing these cheaper brake pads, the vehicle only literally made it like 10,000, maybe 12,000 miles, and they glazed over the rotor because the compound on these brake pads absolutely sucks. So luckily now it's reversed. They don't have any fucking rotors, but they got expensive brake pads. So I'm going to buy expensive brake pads for the front. I'm going to turn the rotors because you can't just throw brand new pads on shit rotors because they wear to the brake pad and the brake pad wears to the rotor. So if they're not square, you're going to have vibration again. So that's my Sunday story. I'm trying to get this finished up before the Lions game, but it just sucks. It just tells you component shortages, right? So normally I don't go for the cheap stuff, but we had no choice. I mean, right? The rears were all basically OEM spec and the fronts were, you know, decent rotors and complete garbage brake pads. So anyway, I'll make another video and show you guys how it actually looks. It's pretty simple to work on those MKZs, but I'll make another video. All right, so just dropped off the rotors at O'Reilly's. They're going to turn them for me. If I would have bought these rotors from O'Reilly's, they would have turned them for free, but they charge $25 a rotor, not a big deal. But the nice part about it, as I said, they do now carry all 3 brake pad styles. So you got the cheap pieces of shits that I got. You also have basically ceramic mid-level, and then for like $7 more, you have OEM, basically full ceramic or whatever you want to call it. So I got the full ceramic. I'm going to pick those up when I pick up the rotors. But yeah, it sucks, man. You know, it sucks that we're still dealing with a shortage of components and all that, but that's because whatever is being made and whatever is being put back into the pipeline disappears because people buy them, shops buy them. I mean, you know, there's dealerships and also manufacturing facilities that unfortunately shop on eBay for used stuff and components just to make and fill orders or make parts. Crazy. What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the Last Corvette. So this is the setup on a MKZ. This is a 2020 all-wheel drive 2.0 EcoBoost, but regardless, if you're doing brakes on it, it's pretty straightforward. It's like any other vehicle. I got the caliper tied to the coil over there, to the spring. That way it doesn't hang on the brake line itself. You do have to remove this little bracket right off the strut just to give yourself a little bit more slack. Obviously I had to remove the caliper bracket to pull the rotor off. That's what traps the rotor on most vehicles nowadays. And those are the bolts. And you know, obviously everything else is just the same. You remove the caliper first, remove the brake pads, push in the actual caliper piston, and then it's yours. But yeah, it kind of sucks once again. You know, these brake pads, you can look at them, see how much meat there's left on them, but you see this gunk, this buildup, that's just shit compound. I kind of knew but I also thought this vehicle would make it all the way through, at least 20,000 miles or more on those shitty brake pads, but nope. What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the Last Corvette. So while I patiently wait for the rotors to be machined or turned, I'm actually trying to figure out what day next week. I'm off tomorrow, Monday actually, so I might swing by Belt Tire by my house. I'm going to call them in the morning and get these wheels rebalanced, because I think I made a video, and I'll put this video part of this whole MKZ brake job. I'm also going to rotate the tires. Now, on most newer vehicles and newer tires, you don't like crisscross rotate because they're directional. So you actually, like, if I was going to rotate this, I would take the, well, this is different. This is totally different. You can't even do it on this car because they're rotational or directional, but also you got different wheel sizes. They're staggered. But on normal vehicles, if you have the same wheel size, you would take the rear, put in the front, front in the rear, stuff like that. Or whatever, front to the rear, rear to the front, doesn't matter. But anyway, I got to get these things balanced, rebalanced, because I do have a vibration. And no, this vibration is not from having bad brakes. They're all brand new. The only difference between today and last time are the wheels. And I'm not going to even get into who did my mounting and balancing, because they screwed up one of my wheels. I had to get that repaired. But at the end of the day, I have to, the fronts, there's something going on with the front. One of the wheels has a weight issue. So I'm going to take it to Belt Tire, hopefully tomorrow, get those bad boys, all four of them, rebalanced and get rid of that shake. So it's a very slight shake. You can feel it in the steering wheel. And then it's like, if you go, let's say 50, 60, you don't feel it. 60 to 80, you feel it, and then 80 on, you don't feel it again, and it's a dead giveaway. A little bit of a shaky shake, but it is what it is. I'll try to set it up for tomorrow. I'm swinging by. It normally doesn't take very long. All right, so while I wait, I hydrate, and I'll show you guys the last video I'll make for today, which will be all compiled into one. Will be how everything looks when it's all put back together on the MKZ. What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the Last Corvette. So today is Sunday. I am patiently trying to get through this traffic. This shit just sucks. Everywhere you go in the area where I live, there's just construction. Today is Sunday. I'm trying to get home and watch the Lions. I'm also doing a brake job on a 2020 MKZ. It's all-wheel drive, 2.0 EcoBoost. And I recently replaced all four corners, rotors and pads, spring, so less than 6 months ago. And the vehicle is driven a lot, so I think they ended up putting over 10,000 miles on it. But watch the video, go on YouTube. It'll be uploaded later on today. Search Last Corvette, and basically the video explains why I have to do it again. Once again, it goes right back to shortage of parts. But anywho, it's a family member. They also asked me to rotate the tires. And it's funny because one of my coworkers rotated his tires and ended up taking it in to Belt Tire, Discount Tire. And they were like, yeah, we see the problem. So he was getting a lot of vibration, also really bad traction and noise. Noise was basically his number one complaint. Well, let me explain something. On newer vehicles, on brand name tires, most of them rotate one way, so they're directional. You can't just, like old school way, we used to rotate tires where you would take, let's say, a right passenger rear, and then put it on the front driver's side. You can't do that anymore. If you rotate tires, always look at them. It'll have a little arrow, and that's just because the tread is designed to rotate one way, rotate forward, okay? And so what he did is he actually did the old school X versus doing what, well, there's only one way of doing it. Let's say you're looking at the driver's side, you're going to take the the passenger driver's side tire, or the whole wheel, and you're going to put it on the front driver's side, and then vice versa, driver's side front on the rear driver's side. And that's how you rotate them. You can't crisscross them anymore. Now, it also goes to another point that I've seen done, which is freaking crazy. So on Corvettes, for example, they're staggered, so you can't even do that, right? The only thing you can technically do is you can swap the tires from left to right, right to left, but then you're doing the same thing because they're also directional. I've seen that happen, and it's pretty funny. We're actually at a show one day, or a car meet, or whatever you want to call it, and I saw a C7 sitting there, and the only reason I noticed is because I was still looking for wheels and tires, and they had aftermarket wheels, and I was like, so I told the owner, I'm like, dude, you got your tires on backwards. So that was funny. Talk to you guys later. All right, everybody. So driver's side is put back together, passenger side is put back together. Now I just have to rotate the tires, but you're going to need a 18 mil, either a socket or a open closed end wrench to remove this caliper bracket. First thing you're going to do is, if you're doing this job, is remove this bolt here. This is I think it's a 10 mil. Yeah, so 10 mil, get this out of the way. It'll make it much easier, give you a lot of more flex when you remove the caliper. The caliper is held in by obviously 2 bolts. There are some dust caps you got to remove, one on top, one on the bottom. You can use a flathead screwdriver or like a little pick. This here is a 7. This is a 7 mil Allen socket. That's what you're going to need to remove the caliper bolts. Once those are removed, you can separate the caliper away from the caliper bracket, and obviously remove the brake pads. Seat your cylinder back in, your piston on the caliper, to allow you to put in fresh brake pads. And then if you're replacing rotors, you will need an 18 mil socket, like I said, or a closed open end wrench. Bolt here, this whole bracket will come off, and that will give you access to obviously the rotor. And this here is your tension spring. Basically, when you remove it, just stick a screwdriver in here and pop it out. When you reinstall it, doesn't matter if you do top or bottom, but get the top in. There's a little hook here that lives in this caliper cavity. So hook, overlay it, and then use the screwdriver to force this outer tab over the caliper, just like this, to seat it. And then a lot of people ask what this is. Well, this is your ski. That's basically your warning to replace your brake pads. It scrapes on the rotor and makes a shit ton of noise. Talk to you guys later.